Today on the channel, we're going to be taking a look at the latest release from New Wave Toys in the Replicade line, the 1/6 scale Berserk Replica Arcade, and is this something you should consider adding to your collection? Hello YouTube, it's me, it's Michael B. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and today we're talking all about Berserk from New Wave Toys, and I can't wait to tell you more about it right after this. So that's right guys, in today's video we're talking all about the Replicade Berzerk cabinet from New Wave Toys, this 1/6 scale recreation of the original arcade cabinet available to purchase now. I want to say a huge thank you to New Wave Toys for sending me out this cabinet for the purpose of this review, and keep in mind guys, I did receive this for review, so you may want to check out some other people's reviews as well before you consider buying this. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much everybody for checking out the video. I always appreciate the support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, all that YouTube jazz. So guys, in front of you is the New Wave Toys Berserk Replicade that comes in not one, not two, but 3 boxes. The secondary box, of course, is a replication of what the original arcade shipping box would be. I mention it every time, but I love this attention to detail. The actual box that the cabinet comes in itself is absolutely beautiful, showcasing the cabinet art and the limited assets that actually came on the cabinet, focusing on the marquee and the very subtle side art. Not only does this come in 3 separate boxes, but inside it is extremely well packed. The actual cabinet itself is covered in foam, so if this thing comes damaged, I trust you, it didn't happen during shipping. Now that we have it out of the box, let's talk about everything that's included. And honestly, this is one of the most packed New Wave Toys Replicades we have got to date. First off, you get a little kick plate metal piece. Now, I don't know why this wasn't added to the cabinet. It's an optional feature. As you can see, there's a 3M sticker on the back so you can place it on the cabinet where it should be. Next up, this actually comes for the very first time with a coin door lock bar, which is seen on many classic arcades back in the day. This actually applies magnetically. There's little indents in the top and bottom for you to affix it in the place where it should go. Power cord, this was the first time we ever saw this, was with the Ghosts and Goblins Replicade. This is purely cosmetic. It doesn't really do anything, but just a really cool add-on. Of course, with every New Wave Toys Replicade you get, we get a little baggie of coins that actually act as tokens to play into the game. But like we saw with Ghosts and Goblins for the very first time, these actually do let you play into the game. You can actually put them into the coin slot and it will coin you in, or you can press the button to start the game. On top of that, underneath it, in the metal coin door, you can open that up after removing the lock bar, and you will find a coin box which actually collects the coins. It's the little details, man, that make this so special. Next up in the bag, we get an XL bat top. Now this has absolutely nothing to do with the original arcade release and is purely for making the game more playable for those of us with bigger hands. This is an accessibility feature for people with big hands who actually want to play on the 1/6 scale Replicade. You'll also find Atari sticker decals, one for the coin door which can be affixed, and one actually for the marquee. Berserk is originally a Stern game, but it's now owned by Atari, and despite their best efforts, New Wave Toys was unable to get the approval to put Stern on the product, so we do in fact get the option to include these stickers to replace the Stern logos. And of course, like with every New Wave Toys Replicade, we get an instruction manual, but they go that extra step and make it look like the original operator's menu. So we get to see how to look at that game while still getting those nostalgic arcade feels. So let's move on to the cabinet itself, and this arcade is a beautiful recreation of the original arcade done in the 1/6 scale. Like guys, honestly, these things are nearly perfect just made really small. If you've never heard of them before, they feature a solid wood design and it has a very sturdy feel to it. Of course, the art is very simplistic with Berserk. There's not a lot to see here, but it's accurate to the original cab, and it is still very, very nice looking. The marquee on this cab looks extremely good, however, it does seem that the backlight is a little bright. That does give this marquee a slight washed out look, which isn't the norm for New Wave toys in the Replicade line. Like I mentioned earlier, the marquee isn't 100% arcade accurate, where they couldn't get the approval to use the Stern logo. They actually just left it off, but you do get that sticker that says Atari done in the Stern style. While the marquee is a little bit disappointing, there is a very super cool new feature that I did want to show here. When you're actually into the Frenzy game, there's an option for marquee flicker that plays off like a failing marquee light. This is for the Frenzy Survivor Series cab, but it's so cool to see it included here on the Berserk cab as well while playing Frenzy. Moving down the cabinet, we come to the bezel, and the cabinet features an accurate recreation of the iconic bezel. It's one of the coolest things about this machine because on a very plain machine, this offers a pop of color and some really cool art. The screen included is a 4x3 LCD screen that actually looks fantastic, has great colors, no visible blurring or darkening when moving from angles, great screen. You will notice that while this is an LCD screen, it kind of looks like a CRT. This is something that New Wave Toys have been playing around with for a couple of years now, trying to figure out how to make an accurate CRT effect. They seem to have perfected it with the CRT 2.0 technology. We saw this with Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts. It's continued here with Berserk and really looks fantastic. One thing to note though is the screen specifically for this game is a little bit small, and my old eyes do have trouble at times seeing the projectiles coming from the robots in Berserk. It is a little bit hard to play on, and I've got to squint and move up closer sometimes to get a really good feel for how the game should play. That isn't anything that New Wave Toys can do about it. It's just a unavoidable situation caused by the game we're playing. Another quality of life improvement, or just an improvement that New Wave Toys have offered here, is the control panel is now metal. This is new for New Wave Toys and more accurate to the original arcades of the day. It has a very nice feel to it. Really glad they went in this direction. Of course, when you're shrinking everything down to the 1/6 scale, that means everything including the controls and buttons. So we do have a very small, low-profile joystick here and very small buttons. And while they are small and they feel a little weird on your fingers, they do actually feel really good. The buttons have great response with great response time, and the control stick works like it should. You should have no trouble playing the game other than the fact it's very tiny controls in your hands. Another really cool new feature New Wave Toys have added, and I gotta give them credit, every single release they seem to try to go over and above themselves, is this time they've added a push panel on the front of the cabinet, and when you open it up, you can actually access a faux PCB for the game. I think that's such a cool feature. You take it out, it looks accurate to the original PCB, and the cabinet it comes out of is actually illuminated as well, so you can see inside the machine just above and beyond the details that New Wave Toys put into these recreations. Now for some more of the functional modern parts that we've got to talk about. The power and volume controls can be found on the top of the cab. You get a push power button and of course a rotating dial volume control. On the back you will find the mono speaker, and that sounds great, especially since you're looking to hear those voice synthesized recordings that made the game so synonymous in the arcades.
Intruder shipping, fight like a robot.
On the bottom you will find two USB slots which you can use to connect a USB controller, a USB-C slot for charging, and an HDMI out. That's going to become very important in just a minute. One of the things I always find interesting is people look at these and say, wow, that looks absolutely beautiful, I love the attention to detail, but it's really just too small to play. But you've got to consider one thing this is actually a plug-and-play device that hooks up to your TV that you can put a controller in, just with a really amazingly well done console or plug-and-play box that connects to your TV. So if you want a picture-perfect arcade experience ROM coming from an amazing display piece, what you're going to do is you're going to connect this to a TV or monitor with the HDMI out. You're going to get a great picture. I think my screen recorded it as 1080p. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the picture looked absolutely great. There was no messing around. It automatically went in that 4:3 display ratio, so I didn't have to do anything with the screen itself. And for the controls, you get your choice of controls. I personally hook it up with an 8BitDo SN30 Pro, my go-to retro gaming controller. I also have an 8BitDo arcade control stick that I could use if I wanted, and I got to play the game on the screen, a little easier to see the projectiles, and overall a great experience. Now, while this cabinet is an arcade recreation of Berserk, and they sold a separate Frenzy machine with the Survivor Series art and decal and wear and tear, aged jeans, I guess you would call it, with the deterioration, this cabinet actually features both games. Really cool thing that New Wave Toys does, they don't nickel and dime you to try to get you to buy every single cabinet. So this features Berserk and its sequel Frenzy. You can swap between the games in the cabinet by pressing the Player 1 and Player 2 start buttons, which will bring you to an options menu that allow you to change the games. But that options menu will also let you do different things like turn on off the marquee. In Frenzy, you can choose the flicker time between flickers on the cabinet. You can turn on scan lines and adjust other game settings. Now, for those of you not familiar, Berserk is an arcade classic from Stern with incredibly simplistic looking graphics. You're really going to have to use your mind on thinking about what these are, the humans and the robots. This is classic 80s for you, but it features fast-paced, addictive gameplay, Twitch gameplay, where you're basically shooting down the robots, very similar to Robotron 2084. Frenzy, of course, is the sequel to Berserk and features updated gameplay with new enemies and even gives some a facelift, literally adding a face to Otto. They also add new mechanics like breakaway wall panels that disappear after being shot a few times, and reflective surfaces that can come into play gameplay. You can use them to your advantage, but they also work to your disadvantage if you're not quick enough to move after shooting directly at the panel. Let's be honest here, guys, both games aren't the prettiest thing to look at, but it's a pure awesome gameplay that will keep you coming back for more. Anyways, guys, that was my look at the New Wave Toys Berzerk Replicade 1/6 scale arcade recreation or plug-and-play device, whatever way you want to look at it. For me personally, I think this is awesome. Berserk is such a cool arcade game. Obviously, it doesn't offer a lot in the graphics department, but what it does feature is pure, unadulterated, awesome arcade gameplay. Fans of games like Wizard of War or Robotron may be very interested in this one. It's a lot of fun, and I gotta give New Wave Toys a pile of credit. They are already the leaders in innovation in recreating home arcade cabinets, or, arcade cabinets in a smaller scale. They keep one-upping themselves realistically by adding new features. We got with the CRT 2.0 last time, the coin door going in on Ghosts and Goblins, actually putting a credit into the machine, and of course the faux power cord just for looks this time. On top of that, we got a metal control panel, we got the flickering marquee for the Survivor Series line, and last but not least, we got that PCB slot. All very, very cool. Above and beyond, guys. You guys are killing it. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of the New Wave Toys Berzerk Replicade 1/6 scale arcade, home arcade recreation? Is this something you're interested in picking up? Are you a fan of Berserk the arcade game, or are you not? Or is this something that has enticed you to possibly pick it up? let me know down below. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. Tell your friends about me. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.